Ok pour le 2, 1, top. Allumage.
The A380 first took off on the 27th of April 2005. The glorious Super Jumbo led to a new era of innovations, and sadly a few realizations. This plane may be the beast and look like they're needed at first, but we are soon to realize what it is. How its future's been changed this year when its production has been stopped. Why it's better for airlines to buy a 353 configuration. Why the A380 is too big. Without further ado, let's get into this overview.
September 30th, 1968, first giant 747 is presented to the world. This is a milestone in Boeing history, a time to look forward. Inside, the 747 program becomes a reality, from paper to metal. Machining and manufacturing. Assembly and major body joints. The airplane grows. Rollout marks the beginning of a new phase.
The creation of the 747-100 marked the beginning of a new era, the eras of the Jumbo. With popularity growing for aviation, the need for more seats grew, while airliners at the time sat very less. The 747 peaked its expectation and rose to glory. As years went by, with the introduction of the -400, the 747s in total were built at 167-100s, 442-400s that excluding the cargo variants. In total up to date, including the -800s built for competition against the A380, about 1568 have been built, which is a lot compared to the 251 A380s built. Gene Roeder and his team started secretly working on the A380 in 1988. It was officially announced in 1991. It was built to beat the 747 in capacity and in efficiency. In June 1994, this mega jet was given a name, A3XX. The aircraft build and design were finally finalized in 2001, and construction of Super Jumbo started in the January of 2002. The development costs for this aircraft were between 11 to 14 billion euros. After its first flight, many carriers decided to buy this aeroplane. The Rolls-Royce's Trent 900 engine was one of the most advanced and efficient at the time. The first A380 was delivered to Singapore Airlines. Carriers for this plane are Korean Air, China Southern, Qantas, British Airways, Air France, Etihad, Qatar, Thai, Asiana, and of course Emirates, the biggest customer for this plane. The A380 became very popular in its early years. Though the 747-8 Intercontinental was built, people preferred flying the Super Jumbo rather than the improved version of the old Jumbo jet. The airlines improved the looks of the A380. New types of first class were added. Those who had a ride on the A380 started flexing their ticket around. The aircraft is still known to have one of the best safety records in history. This aircraft is so safe that there was not one casualty related to this aircraft. However, there have been two incidents. On the 4th of November 2010, Qantas Flight 32, flying from Singapore to Sydney, suffered the loss of an engine. It was successfully saved by the heroic actions of the pilots. After a few blames by Airbus to Rolls-Royce to Qantas and back and so forth, the incident was finally suppressed. Another incident on the 30th of September 2017 en route from Paris to Los Angeles, suffered an engine failure, but as before successfully saved. Even with the occurring of these two incidents, people didn't lose hope on the A380. But then it arrived, in 2019, an event that wrote the fate of the A380. The SARS-CoV-2 brought a halt to the development of planes just as in cars, trains, and other automobiles. It was declared a global emergency, and now, this has brought a generous amount of sad news to all of us already. Due to this, the number of passengers decreased drastically. For bigger operators like Emirates, this was a destructive blow. The huge number of A380s in their fleet and the decrease in passengers brought them a steady decrease in profits. The operating costs of the plane were just too large for the small number of passengers on the busiest routes. Hence, a feeling, a thought, a realization was formed, which in simple words, just says, I guess the A380 is too big. The operating costs were just too much. During the announcement, CEO Tom Enders would say, today's announcement is painful, and no basis to sustain production, despite all our sales efforts with other airlines in recent years. With that, the era of the A380 came to an end. It was officially announced in 2019 that the production would end in 2021, and sadly, it did. The last A380 was delivered to the Emirates with the registration Alpha 6 Echo, Victor, Sierra in the December of 2021. Now, let's just talk about the facts about this aircraft. 1. No US carrier bought this plane. 2. It could carry up to 853 passengers spaciously. 3. It's 240 feet in length, 260 feet from wingtip to wingtip, and 79 feet high, a true monster. 4. It can travel at a speed of 639 knots, the speed of sound is 660. 5. Each unit costs about $445 billion. 6. Cargo variants of this aircraft just remained a piece of paper. 7. There are 329 miles of wiring across the plane. 8. About 251 of them were produced. 9. It has no yoke, but just a joystick. 10. Most important of all, it is the only plane with a shower. Now, the A380 as we know is too big, but COVID-19 isn't the main cause for the retirement of the plane, it just brought new opinions among the public. With the introduction of the 777X, it is sufficient enough to carry a generous amount of passengers, meanwhile just having two engines saving a lot of fuel. That's the reason it is better to go for the single-floor aircraft than the double-decked ones. In conclusion, though the A380 is now officially passed away, the big boy will stay around for 14 to 15 years. So, get your tickets ready and fly this wonderful jet while you can, because, in the future, we are pretty sure not to see these big jets, as well, they are too big. But we can all remember and always predict with surety that this airplane, the Airbus A380, will go down as one of the biggest innovations in history. Thanks for watching, have a great day.